Sirach, chapter 38 and verse 25. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the gold, that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? Verse 31. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. Call halam la Yahweh Bashmi al Shai Wahakudashaka. Dwadi Yahweh Bashmi al Shai for the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the hopefully like elder apostle slave to be saved. Lord willing, starting with those at the Great Millstone Church on down to the rest that's abiding under the same doctrine, and much peace and many blessings to the rest of the brothers teaching this truth and all true faith and sincerity. Elder brothers, down to you rest you younger brothers and the rest of you believers, the men, women, and children, all right, of the Israelite race, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right, shalom to the elect and 1/3, those that were going to be found to have been of the house of David. So yeah, these right here, you heard the scriptures. These are your average citizens, your everyday regular Joe Schmoes, if you will. These are peons, okay? And that's what this is going to be going into, peon traits, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and get that word peon, okay?
Peon or peon.
See? So there it is. It says, this is the dictionary.com, a farm worker, you see, or unskilled laborer. See that? So you're everyday just 9 to 5 working over time working, come home, drink a beer, go out, hit the bar, talk, shoot the shit with the guys, if you will. I got choir rehearsal, as people, man. Jakes, just your regular, that never would even consider that, someone posed the fact that their skin is not black. Just keeping it that simple. These are regular people, right? And which is a very low understanding, obviously, and below average, which is due to, as it says, the life they live, the mentality they choose to take on, the disposition they choose to have, which is one of the common, and the common or the profane being the so-called white man, Esau, right? The basis of men, okay? And ultimately that results in these people being peons, man. A farm worker or unskilled laborer, day laborer, okay? And we're going to get this on the urbandictionary.com. You can look it up. We're going to jump down. You got it's a lame individual, okay? A lame ass fuck nigga. But anyway, really we going to get a more seasoned definition. It says a member of an occupation which requires little professional skill or education. Yeah, probably somebody that, work at McDonald's and scoff at the notion that, you know, how we living is wrong and hate those that try to correct, the wrong way of living or thinking, and instead wanting to push, a bigger idea, you see, to the forefront. You know, uh, a nigga that may work at FedEx, and he smoke weed every day or something like that, and he'll have brought to him, he or she will have brought to him or her, this idea of us being the Hebrew Israelites and, this America's gonna be destroyed. They using us, they playing us, and ultimately they can see that, but upon them seeing it, they wouldn't, you know, their actions wouldn't be in agreement with it, in agreement with it, because they'll go on and still do the same thing, you know, because they're lost, and they're caught up in the stupid disposition they have. Let's use your these are peons, man. Okay, it says contemporary examples of such professionals include industrial assembly line worker, farm laborer, and a senator in the United States Congress. So somebody think they're on the board because they're on the city school board council or some shit like that, man. You see, someone that think they have a business, but they have no true understanding, no knowledge. They're very base and simple thinking. They just will go hit Hooters and on a damn Wednesday and leave it at that. Send their kids to school and let them get, vaccinated, if you will, at a damn Walgreens or something like that, or by their school. That mundane madness. You see what I'm saying? Those are peons who scoff at the notion of something being bigger, and how things are to actually, how proper conduct is, what is supposed to go. What is considered proper conduct? They move away with it and they stay, they turn their head at it and they stay, in this peon disposition, man. This in the traditions of men, you know, you know, uh, nigga might wear some theme colored clothing for, a so-called holiday that's coming up. You know, those peon type niggas, man. People, female, she got her nails colored the color of Halloween. Nigga got some damn Nikes on the color of Halloween. Nigga got a Christmas sweater on. He got the new little trend in his hair. You know, and they'll have bigger ideas, proper conduct come to them. And they probably breaking all type of laws, if you will, consciously, just continuously doing wrong, and they will scoff at the idea, that there being a true way we're supposed to move, but instead they don't, and they will continuously remain distasteful, but instead they will boast, and instead choosing to boast in, a degree or being a politician of the sort. Now, you jump down, it says, peon, a snobbish term used by stupid, ignorant people for working class members of society. Yeah, but that's true. Okay, it says a peon is someone with a crappy job, the menial jobs that no one wants. A peon may not always constitute a person with a low end job, see, but rather just someone who's at the bottom of their line of work. And that's why we're going into this lesson, because we are all, and it's the nation of Israel, in the state of being peons, man. But which is just being synonymous with being at the bottom. Now, with us being in the truth, this truth doesn't give a damn how the overall world looks at us, because the Lord, this truth tells us, though we be honorable, we are despised. Yahushua went through that. We esteemed him stricken of God. We are fools for Hamashiach. All these different things, man. We don't trim our way to seek love. We are hissing and a reproach to these people. That don't matter. That we don't acknowledge that in regards to, trying to change that that perspective in people's eyes according to what would not make that the case amongst popular belief, which is you guys just need to work a little bit harder. You guys need to just buy land. You guys need to just quit complaining and forget about slavery. No, you see what I'm saying? But instead, we do understand that peonism or nis is acknowledged in the Holy Scriptures, which isn't to be the case. So when you come into this truth, we're all neutral, if you will. But then there are levels to those that are in this truth amongst the men, women, and children. You have all awakened Israelites, but you only have an elect, which means the finest of his class, man. You see, the finest of his kind, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna simply prove that. So peon simply means somebody at the bottom, of a low estate, man, on a real low level. You see what I'm saying? And that is once again pointed out and acknowledged to be in the scriptures. Okay, so let's go ahead and further show this. Sirach 5:10. Be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same. Yeah, you see this with people, in the world, the actual peons. You see what I'm saying? They're not steadfast in their understanding, and they don't let their word be thy same. They hear today, and somewhere else the next day. You see what I'm saying? They hear today, gone tomorrow, man. You will talk to them. You be like, man, for example, man, or whether it be so-called man or woman, female or male, and hey, you talk to them, man. I don't think God don't love everybody, man. I don't know about that, man. Next minute, no, I could see that. Yeah, that's right, man. All right, man. See you next time. I see you tomorrow, something like that. And the next day, it'll be a whole nother disposition. By the time you end off breaking off from seeing this person or being around these people, they what? They completely change, and it could be parents, it could be anybody. No, that's some real stuff. No, that's real. No, no, you be talking some, that's real, bro. All right, man, I'm gonna get out of here, leave on a serious note. Next day, it's like none of that ever happened, man. That's from these regular people that do this type of thing, these type of things all the time. They have these particular type of traits. These are peon, low level, the base traits. It says, "Be steadfast and I understand it, and let thy word be the same." You see, let thy word be the same. Be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere. You see, how many people actually sit back and want to, rather see who's telling the truth, analyze, where someone's really coming from, and the actual, and to actually get the comprehension right of what's being said. You see, how many people are being, not none in this world. This traits of peons, but you even will see this in the truth. How many people actually, are letting their life be sincere? You got people in the world coming off like they're one way, and they're not, man. You see, they're not sincere, and that's the times we living in. How it said, basically, in the perilous times, how men will basically, be generic, unauthentic, man. Saying one thing as if is this, and that's not even really the case. But that's not being sincere. That's not forthcoming. So that's what it means by letting thy life be sincere, which these peons don't do. You see, but this once again isn't to be found amongst us, because these are peon traits, but yet you will find these things amongst the awakened Israelites, amongst Israel, It says, and with patience give answer. Most people just blurting stuff out, man. These people in the world, those that work at plantations and stuff like that, you know how it go, It says, if thou hast understanding, ask in thy neighbor. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. You see that? Most people can't do that, man. These are traits of these people who we just completely revealed to be peons. When they don't have any understanding, they still answer. You go to your uncle, ask him something. He try to front like he know. Your so-called uncle, he don't know. You don't know. won't just lay their hand upon their mouth and keep it a buck, if you will. You see, keep it tasteful, keep it disciplined, keep it honorable. You know what? I don't, I don't know. I'll look into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure. Okay. It says they don't do that though. And yet you'll find people doing that in Israel. Peons, man, peon traits. So if you see these particular things, you're able to identify peonism, if you will. Honor and shame is in talk. You see, and honor deals with being exalted. Shame deals with being made low, which is what a peon is, someone that's real low. So these people are in the world, they're deemed as peons because they shame themselves in their talk. Real simple, real rash, just bold, brazen talking people, man. Just profane and common. Say anything. It says honor and shame is in talk. Women to just let anything come out of their mouth. So-called men. And the tongue of man is his fall. You see? And that's what makes them peons. Whether if it's, a lie, whether it's just something that just shouldn't be said. It's just, that's what puts them in the state of being a peon. You could become a peon off your talk, whether it be front and all these different things, man. How you say things. But anyway, be not called not even necessarily how you say things. What I mean by how you say things is, the spirit the perspective you're coming from, the disposition you seem to have, the qualifications you might be actually speaking from versus the one you are actually trying to give off that you are. You see what I'm saying? People just look to the side at you like, man, I can't even believe dude is still. It says, be not called a whisper and lie not in wait. And you're not gonna find this among royal people, man. Royal acting people. Princes and princesses, kings, priests. All right. It says, be not called a whisperer. Prophets. It says, and lie not in wait with thy tongue. For a foul shame is upon a thief, and an evil condemnation upon a double tongue. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter. In a great matter or small. See? And that deals with a peon. People that don't know what's going on. We see, which we're going to actually prove. Alright? So let's further show this. That we in the truth can be deemed peons, and what ultimately makes you a peon. With somebody that's low level, right? They're low as far as their skill. They're not really skilled. We're going to get what makes one skilled, but ultimately we're going to start off with what makes one low. Wisdom of Solomon 12:24. For they went astray very far in the ways of error and held them for gods. Let me start at 23. It says, it says, wherefore, whereas men have lived dissolutely, which means undisciplined, unlawed, unrestrained, pretty much you just do and say what you want to do, and you completely revert back to vices and stuff like that. That's dissolutely. It says, and unrighteously, it's dealing with Jake. Thou hast tormented them with their own abominations. It says, for they went astray very far in the ways of error and held them for gods. You see, and that's, all the stuff they into, the idols, the things they worship, man. You see, which even among the beasts of their enemies, you see, were despised. The stuff that Jake is into in worship, the animals naturally know this stuff is off. And those are beasts, which are said to be, at the bottom. Because man is said to have dominion over them. So that denotes being low. But it says, which even among the beasts of their enemies, which our enemies are the Edomites, right? And the heathens who are below us. We're above all people. And Esau is the third part of man, who's the basis of man, who's our number one enemy. But it says, which even among the beasts of their enemies were despised. You see? Come on, man. The stuff that Jake actually, falters to and, considers, regarding traits. Because and just the things you're into, which is due to your traits. Let me put it like that. It says these things are even among our enemies, this beast, our enemies beast despise. So you're lower than that, makes you lower than the beast. This is pointing out peonism, if you will. It says being deceived as children of no understanding. You see? And that's what makes you low. You know? Because you're into these things that, don't, they're vain, and it's through your traits, your disposition, the traits you hold, man. Which this would be part one. We'll do a part two to this, Lord willing. And you're deceived. You are, you're of no understanding. So that's ultimately what puts you on a low level. You see that? Because the basically it's saying the beasts have more sense than you, man. Which obviously shows what being a peon comes down to, having no sense, no understanding. When it comes to having certain regards, in your judgment. Because really that you being in certain things is determined by one's judgment, and lack of ability or ability to discern. You see? Which would either result in one worshiping the idol or not, saying certain things or not, moving certain ways that's off or not. You see? But it says these particular things are able to be noticed by the beast to be off. So that just show you, man, what being a peon come down to. Okay, and I'm gonna grab this. Second Maccabees 2 and 4. Second Maccabees 4 and 25. So he came. It says so he came with the king's mandate, bringing nothing worthy to high priesthood, but having the fury of a cruel tyrant and the rage of a savage beast. See, peon traits. These particular traits: cruel, being a tyrant, fury, rage. They say, why do the heathen rage? And fools imagine a vain thing. You see that? So these particular traits are what? These are traits of being a peon, man. These traits of being a peon. Let's get, let's get a little bit further into this. This is to show how. Let's go to Ezekiel 33, and we're going to start at verse 32. And lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that hath a pleasant voice and can play well on an instrument. For they hear for they hear thy words, but they do them not. You see that? And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then they shall know that a prophet hath been among them, not a peon, which is due to what? Because, you're able to play well. You're skilled on a particular, it takes skill to be on the instrument, and the instrument is this word. And this word is dealing with knowledge, wisdom, or understanding. You have what it takes. You know how to move ultimately. You see what I'm saying? And go about this doctrine. Go about being an Israelite, going about being, Israelite man. See that? There it is. This is Daniel 1, and I'm going to start at verse 17. As for these 4 children, the Most High gave them knowledge and skill. Gave them knowledge and skill. You see? And skill and all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, you see. Let me read that verse 17 in the NLT also. It says the Most High gave these 4 young men an unusual aptitude for understanding every aspect of literature and wisdom. And the Most High gave Daniel the special ability to interpret the meanings of visions and dreams. So yeah, they actually had they knew how to move. You see? They were skilled in knowing how to move, how to speak, how to talk, when to talk, what not to say, you know, how to be, whether to front or not front. You see what I'm saying? Oh, not front ultimately, which is being skilled. They will be one that is to be considered one that could play well on this instrument, man. You see? Be able to use the knowledge, wisdom, understanding this doctrine to properly navigate through life and have the perfect beat to be walking to. You just getting through life in all situations and going about all matters and situations with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, correctly. You see? So obviously, if you're not doing that, you're what? A peon. See that? It says in verse 18 in the KJV, now at the end of the days, the king had said he should bring them in. Then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar, and the king communed with them. You see, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. You see, and in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. You see, and that's the people of the world, man. These people that's into everything, these idols and stuff you ain't gonna get you're not gonna get anything out of, who are deemed as peons, because they don't ultimately have what? Wisdom and understanding, you see, in all matters. It says, and Daniel continued even unto the first year of King Cyrus. You see that? So when you read this in the NLT, and when the training period ordered by the king was completed, verse 18, the chief of staff brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and no one impressed him as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, so they entered the royal service. Whenever the king consulted them in any matter requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom. Daniel remained in the royal service until the first year of the king of Cyrus. So ultimately, to be otherwise will make you a beast. Let's prove that. Psalm 73 and 22. So foolish was I, and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. You see? Now, we're going to get that word foolish.
Strong's H, 1198. Bad.
Brutish, stupidity brutish. It says what? Strong's definitions. Cattle brutishness, meaning you're like an animal. You see that? When you read it in the Jacenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it literally says stupid, stupidity, stupid, brutish, like cattle, used of men. You see? So that's what makes that proves once again, because the cattle, the beasts, they're the lowest, they're base. You see what I'm saying? That's why he said the ass, the masters, the ass cribs, Isaiah 1 and 3. I don't want to misquote it, but the ox knows his owner, the ass his master's crib, but Israel, my people, do not know. They don't consider, man. They don't have no discernment, no judgment, or anything, man. You see what I'm saying? They're just completely tasteless. They're peons, and you gonna, in the Lord, he's talking about peon in the Bible, peons. And peon, he's pointing out the peon traits. So you can act like a peon even though you in this truth, man. Don't get it twisted. Now, when you go into the word ignorant, you get the word you die.
Strong's H, 3045. Yadah. Yadah.
To know. You see, you're a peon if you don't know that you're not really black. You don't know where you come from. You don't know how a man is to be, how a woman is to be, what you are to do in this situation. You're on a low level. You're a peon because to know is to be above all people. To know is to be a Hebrew Israelite who are said to be above all people, who's being put on the know on who we are, what's gonna happen, what you are to do in this moment, in that moment. You know, what is a man supposed to be? What is a woman supposed to be? How are they supposed to conduct themselves? You see? That's to be above all people. But to be opposite of that is to be a what? Is to be a peon, which is to not know. So that's what ignorant means. Ignorant means you don't know. You see, it says what? Learn to know. You don't even care to know. Perceive. You don't even pick up on certain things. Find out and discern. Ignorant. Peons. You see? To know by experience. Look, to recognize, admit, acknowledge, confess. To not be doing these things, admitting things, acknowledging, you know, the truth of matters. You see what I'm saying? Who's wrong, who's right, you know? Recognizing, you know, true believers, confessing when you're wrong, considering, you know, acknowledging who got the truth, all these different things, man. The order, you know, who taught you, how you got here, you know, how the Lord got you to get the knowledge, acknowledging all those things, man. And the reality of it, though, is to not be a peon, but to not acknowledge these things, admit these things, recognize, confess. You see? Oh, not confess your sins, not confess that we need a savior and you can't be saved by the law. No flesh will be justified by the law. All of those things is to be a peon, peon traits. You see, and when you go down, it says what? To know how, be skillful in. So to not be skillful is exactly what the definition of peon means. Okay?
Peon.
It says a day laborer, Spanish American day laborer, or unskilled farm worker. Just a regular Joe Schmo that don't know how to move. And I'm gonna close out here. Okay. This would be part, because the point's proven. This would be part 1. Sirach 10:1. A wise judge will instruct his people. You see that? If you're a true Israelite, you know, of the hopefully of the, you know, the aristocracy, you know, the whole, if you're aiming, you're striving to put on there for is the elect, which is the aristocracy, you know, the lords, you know, the rulers, masters, those that have gotten the mastery. It says what? A wise judge, because we're the judges. Is it not for you to know judgment? A wise judge will instruct his people. That deals with knowing that person knows how to move. You see that? So if you ultimately aren't doing that, you are actually just, which is what Esau's doing. He's in the judge seat, but he doesn't instruct his people. So he's a peon, because it says that wise judge, you see, will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. You see? So you'll be nothing more than someone pretending to be a judge if you don't know how to move, you know, which is going about conduct according to how we are to conduct, what we, you know, how conduct is said to it's supposed to go, certain conducts, and that's according to what? The knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, man. You know? So with that, call on like Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, Shalom.